I'm still quite amazed that a lot of people don't understand the power of tokenization of real world assets, especially when it comes to real estate, and how XRP and the XRP Ledger is going to be at the forefront of that going forward, and how it's going to bring tens of trillions of dollars into the ecosystem that is XRP Ledger, which represents millions of dollars for you. And depend on how much XRP you own, it could even be billions of dollars. Before I do that, I just wanted to mention quickly that XRP, the price is now where I assumed it would go from yesterday. In the video that I made, I expected it to go to 2.8 or around 2.7. It's past 2.7 now, and it looks like it might achieve that 2.8 at some point today. Now, of course, the catalyst has kicked off a bit of movement in that realm. Is a combination of the fact that Bitcoin touched all-time highs yesterday and is in price discovery. Ethereum made a slight move as well because of RLUSD, and of course RLUSD FOMO is causing a bit of a frenzy in the purchasing of XRP tokens. So often you just need a little bit of catalyst to ignite the fire, and the fire starts to burn. Personally, I don't expect anything too hot until next year, like I say, but nothing stops XRP from going to all-time highs in the next few days, just based off FOMO alone. But in terms of actual fundamentals and an actual run, we're looking at January before anything really serious begins. So I'll take the wins for now. Now on to RWAs. Now I'll tell you a little bit of a story that illustrates it absolutely perfectly. I have a neighbor who's been trying to sell his house for the last 3 years. In fact, they started looking at selling their house after the pandemic, and they wanted to emigrate out of the country. And from then till now, they still haven't managed to sell their house because the economy had been in absolute shambles. Not only did people not have any money, also there was a lot of property on the market. So there was a lot of competition for the little amount of money that was sloshing around. As such, nobody was willing to pay what they were asking. Now, if they had reduced the price significantly, who knows, maybe they would have found a buyer, but they would be doing that at their own detriment because they still have a mortgage which needs to be paid off, and selling a negative equity meant they would have no house and still owe money to the bank. Now, their children have all moved out of the house, having become adults. The youngest one has gone to college now, so they have the house to themselves. They wanted to downsize anyway. So what they've done now is they've moved out of the house and they've rented out the house to pay for the house that they're renting now, just to downsize. So they're able to carry on paying their mortgage and afford to live in a different place while downsized. Now, that problem will be absolutely erased by tokenization of real world assets, of real estate on blockchain. Now, imagine to sell the house, you needed someone to buy the whole house, right? Because you need the money in order to purchase another house where you want to move to, right? Now, the reason why they couldn't find a buyer was because nobody had that amount of money handy to buy the house. The bank wasn't giving the mortgages out either because the interest rates were way too high, and the multiple of earnings that you needed to get such a mortgage was also too high. And nobody was going to commit to that kind of property in the last few years of, the horrendous times that we've had. Also, we've had a lot of property going onto the market, including ones that were being developed fresh, plus people trying to sell their houses. So there was an oversupply and an under demand. Now, to explain the solution in a very elegant way, if you've ever been on holiday and you've ever been canvassed by those salespeople that want you to buy a share in a holiday home, the ones that you can basically pay yearly into a scheme where a bunch of people own a holiday resort, a hotel, a house somewhere in a picturesque place, and in return you get 1 or 2 weeks a year where you can go and use the place on holiday. So that's like owning a share of that holiday destination, and you're paying into it as a community, you're sharing it with other people, and the benefit of that is you can go ahead and use that space anytime you want. You don't own it outright, you don't have to come up with all of the money, but you're able to have that experience. Likewise with a house. If you're able to tokenize that house on a ledger like XRP, now you can have fractions of it that are purchasable, buyable, and tradable by others. So let's say my house cost £1 million for argument's sake. Instead of looking for someone that has £1 million or bank that's willing to borrow £1 million to somebody at an interest rate of 25%, say, which is absolutely insane, I can put this on the XRP Ledger tokenized and people can buy in. So people can buy fractions of it. They could buy £100, £200, £500. They could buy the whole thing if they wanted. I could still also own a good chunk of it. So I don't have to tokenize the whole thing. I could tokenize 50% of it and have people buy fractions of those. I can buy back my house if I wanted to. Another benefit of that, of course, is I don't have to move out of the house. I can tokenize the entire house and own absolutely nothing of it, but still live in the house as long as all of the shareholders are happy for me to do so. Obviously, my obligation would be to keep the house in good standing. If I don't keep it in good standing, people could maybe sell their shares, get out of the market. And if someone decided that they didn't want any part of the share anymore, they could just sell it on in the open market. People can trade it out. People that live in distant countries that would never visit my country, that own a share of my house, and they have no interest in living in it, they just want to participate in the equity of that house. So if the prices of houses should go up in the next 10 years, they want to be a benefactor of that market. So that opens an absolute new world of liquidity for people who have these problems. Now, one of the places where this is a massive issue is in China. China has a huge population of people that have moved into the middle class in the last decade or so. And as such, a lot of people have a lot of money stuck in equity, in real estate equity, that they would never see. They're in deep, deep negative equity. Some of them took 200% loans, 300% loans, i.e. mortgages that they would never pay back. Their great-grandchildren will probably be paying that mortgage into the future. Some of those people would like to release some of that equity so they can actually go ahead and spend it on other things. So trillions and trillions of dollars are going to come into XRP Ledger from that respect. This is why I constantly talk about real world asset tokenization from the APAC region. It's not just real estate, by the way. You can do this with your car. You can do this with your parking space. You can do it with anything. You can do it with a painting in your house, for instance. Maybe you have a highly valuable painting. You can tokenize that and let people buy shares in it. Again, I don't have to sell the painting physically. I don't have to move it. I can still have it in my house, decorating my living room, and absolutely not own any of it. I can own half of it. I can own 10%, whatever. It's so efficient and it's so flexible, right? And when this thing really kicks off, right, we're going to get tokenization of jewelry, tokenization of clothes, tokenization of people's jobs, etc. There's going to be tokenization of absolutely everything. Now, it's not only going to be the XRP Ledger doing this, of course. We know that companies like Chainlink can also work with other non-crypto companies to achieve tokenization, etc. We know Stellar can do tokenization and other platforms. But there is going to be so much money in it that there's going to be enough money for everyone. But having said that, the XRP Ledger is going to have the lion's share of all of that. That represents tens of trillions of dollars in terms of money, and a lot of it is going to end up in your pocket. So congratulations for owning XRP. Yes, we're going to the moon, but the real money is coming sometime in the future. Not financial advice, but you can't but be excited about this stuff when you see it clearly. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Peace.